Did it hurt?
Not really. I'm used to the pain. I actually quite enjoy the feeling of it. I mean, it does burn, that sort of chemical burn, but I quite enjoy it. I don't know if that makes me sick and twisted, but I do. Anyway, welcome back everybody to another episode of Tell Me Where I'm Going Wrong. This is a podcast that is presented by two friends, and we talk about whatever is on our mind that week, politics, music, love, life, religion, capitalism, late-stage capitalism, etc. I'm Josh, I'm one of the hosts, and the other host is Sean. How are you, Sean?
Hi, I'm okay. Obviously completely stressed out by the situation in the Middle East.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know, right? I'm intrigued by your hair update. I was just asking you as we were coming online then with the recording. How long have you been bleaching your hair for?
Oh, I mean, how old am I now? 49. I can't do the maths. Since I was about 13 years old, I used to get, did you have sun in Australia? Was that a thing? Sun in?
No, I think I know what it is, but
it's a spray you could get in the chemist here. It was really easy to sort of buy over the counter, and it was a very, very weak bleach solution. You'd have to like spray it in your hair and then go and lie out in the sun for it to like take effect. And so I started bleaching my hair when I was 13 with sun in.
Did you used to spray it on your anus and lie in the sun?
No, stop. Why are you bringing my anus back into it again?
When have I ever brought your anus into it?
Last week's episode, you said I'm going to look out the window and see if I can see Uranus.
Oh, well, that was obviously a pun on planetary alignments.
Well, you keep bringing it up.
Did you see any of the planets in the sky?
No, I didn't. I did yesterday, though. I did see a lovely, it's called the worm moon. It's a new moon. No, not a new moon, full moon. A full moon. You know how they have names for different moons? Different full moons? This is the worm moon. So I saw that yesterday, but I saw some bright things in the sky that could have been planets, but I don't know.
Well, you can't see much today because it's so misty.
Yeah.
London is under a shroud.
It is.
And I'm also recovering this week from some online abuse.
Oh, right. So, yeah, I saw something today, but tell us about
Well, a couple of things. One thing, I wrote a blog post about not wanting to support vegan brands that give material support to the IDF. And somebody got on and accused me publicly of being an anti-Semite. And
really?
Yeah. Anyway, they must have got scared of libel or something because they've deleted everything that they put. That's all disappeared now. But also, a few years ago, maybe about 4 years ago, I wrote an article for Plant-Based News. It's a vegan news website. And it was an article about how brands shouldn't just pay money and attention to the LGBTQ plus community Pride Month in June. They should do it all year round, right? It seems very tokenistic. And so I wrote an article about that, saying that people should stand up for against oppression all through the year and not just support queer people at one time of the year.
Exactly. So 11 months of the year, we don't care if you're persecuted and die.
No.
But, yeah.
So, and the same for like Black History Month or International Day of Women or whatever it is, whatever timed, sort of
enforced celebration of a particular
oppressed group
culture or
And so anyway, I wrote this article 4 years ago. For some reason, there's a school or a college in Germany that uses this post in their English language teachings, and so every now and then I get a message, usually on Instagram DMs, from a student or a group of students who sometimes send me a photo of themselves saying, hey, we just read your article and we wanted to say hello from Germany and we had to do an exam on it, blah, blah, blah. It's been going on for a few years.
That's awesome.
So anyway, can I read out the message I got 2 days ago from, I assume, must be one of these students?
Yeah.
I can swear, can't I?
You fucking can, yeah.
Fuck you and your blogs.
Oh.
I had to write an exam in English about your blog, and I hope you get in the by a big. I hope your children's won't get the same illness as you. Go and stuff some more into your mouth, you piece of shit.
Wow. Okay, you could have
Um,
warned us, Sean.
and tell what your parents did wrong for you to come out like this. There's some other stuff in there that's not. I'd have to give too much of an explanation about what it means. But
Well,
anyway, isn't that
okay.
nice?
I think
So I've
we're gonna have to go back and record a content warning for the beginning of this
yeah
podcast.
put a little content for racist and homophobic language, and
Mm.
also so I've been told to stuff more in my mouth, and I'm also an anti-Semite in the same week. So
Wow,
I'm
congratulations.
having a really good time as I enter my 16th year of being an online content creator.
You must feel very validated with such lovely messages.
Yeah, it's very special. Anyway, should
Did you bother responding
oh
or
no, what am I going
oh
to say
yeah,
to that?
don't
Yes, you
know.
know, like
More dick,
more
please.
dicks in my mouth, please. Like, what am I going to say?
Uh,
So anyway, but back to what is actually really stressing me out this week, though, is the situation in um, Iran and
mhm.
the what do you think of like how Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister, is dealing with this situation? I mean, obviously, Donald Trump is unhinged,
Mhm.
and but how do you feel that Keir Starmer and the UK government is dealing with the erraticness of Donald Trump?
I suppose I suppose Keir is dealing with it fairly well because
Mhm.
he isn't completely capitulating to Donald Trump's every whim, and he's taking because in case people haven't been like staying up to date, the US asked for the UK to assist with the strikes in Iran, and the UK took about 24 hours to make that decision. And Donald Trump has been very critical of the UK, saying that the response is really disappointing. I mean, they did come back in the end and said, yes, we will help. But
Well, it's very confusing about what the UK is willing to do. It
yeah,
seems to change hour to hour. So first of all, Keir Starmer said that we wouldn't lend any support in sort of the aggressive attacks or the
hmm
preemptive strikes, but
hmm
the UK government would lend, the British government would lend support from a defensive point of view.
right.
And then there was news that they said they would send a warship. And now today, just before I got online, as the BBC said, the UK government has confirmed it will not be sending this warship.
I think there's just so much to say about this. Like, first of all, this is this invasion, this strike, I don't know whatever terminology you want to call it, is being done outside the realm of international law.
Hmm.
There, and I think Keir Starmer, being a barrister, former barrister, um, is acutely aware of the fact that it's being waged in a completely illegal way,
Yes.
and for that
Also,
reason
sorry,
alone,
I'll just add that it's also out of US law as well, not just
yeah,
international law.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. There was no congressional approval vote, anything like that.
Mhm.
So I think America is just a bully. Present day America under Dump is a bully, a petulant, ridiculous bully, and I think Starmer is doing a fairly good job of dealing with that. I mean, I think he's doing a terrible job in other ways, but
Yeah.
in terms of his response to Trump, I think he's doing okay. But I I don't I don't pretend to even understand for a second like the complexities of international law and warfare defense. But I saw a headline this afternoon. I was at work and it said that an Iranian uh, ship,
Yeah.
military ship, was blown up off the coast of Sri Lanka. And I was just like, why is there an Iranian ship off the coast of Sri Lanka? Like, it's nowhere near Iran. Like,
I
I
mean,
just
it's
don't
around
understand.
isn't it around the
I mean, it's the other side of India.
India? Yeah.
Yeah, like it's
But
so far away. And I was but Pete Hegseth, the
what a lunatic.
Secretary of War, if that's what he refers to himself as. I mean, what a fucking anyway. He released this ridiculous statement, which I don't have to hand, I should have, about how incredible it was that they torpedoed this boat, and oh my god. Anyway, yeah, I don't know
But
what.
well, do you know, like I wrote a note about Keir Starmer the other day when I was taking notes about this. And I said, he's somewhat measured in his response, and that's reassuring that he's not just saying the first thing that is demanded of him. So even though I don't agree totally with his approach, even with this topic, and like you said, at many other topics as well, I am appreciating the temper that he is applying to this. You know, like he is
Yeah, he's
taking
not
his
buying into
time.
the bullshit.
Yeah, and he's not being forced and bullied straight away to give exactly the answer that Donald Trump wants. However, I would prefer that he speak on behalf of the UK government and the UK people and say, we're not getting involved at all. Like this is, until there is some legality or some clear reasoning or engagements or process to this, there's absolutely no way we would get involved. Much like the Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has said. He's just said, no, we're not getting involved in this at all. And now Donald Trump has said, well, I'm going to order 100% trade block with Spain.
The thing is, if you capitulate to dump, it's a what's the word? Like it's a never-ending cycle. Like he is so whimsical and what's the word? Like,
whimsical sounds makes him sound like a little fun nymph in the garden or something.
well, yeah, yeah, that's true. He's just so, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not tempestual. Is that tempestuous? Is that the word? Like he just, there's no point in trying to appease him because he will just be in a ranty, irritable mood about something else and lash out anyway. So there's just no point trying to.
Well, I was watching, do you know James O'Brien, who's the presenter on LBC, one of the presenters on LBC, the talk back radio? You can watch his videos on YouTube. But he was talking today about just how ridiculous the whole Trump situation is. Because Trump came out and said, oh, well, Keir Starmer is very disappointed. He's disappointed me. He's no Churchill. He'll never live up to Churchill. And James O'Brien was saying, this is the most ludicrous thing to say, A, to start with. It makes no sense to even talk about that. But also, he said, next week, Donald Trump could very much say Keir Starmer is the heir and, to Churchill. And nobody could say anything. Like he pivots so much. And he never sticks true to a line of thinking. So he says, anyone who would agree with anything that Trump says has to be prepared for it to be a complete 360 or 180 the next day or an hour later. Nothing makes sense. So, he's threatening, this complete trade blockade with Spain. He's threatening the UK.
I thought the Supreme Court had overruled him on things like that. Like, I don't know what's happening across
Well, he
the
also
Atlantic,
said
like,
when the terrorists were ruled illegal, he just said, I don't care. I'm going ahead with it. So what? And so his own government, their own checks and balances in the US, he says don't apply to him. And,
I don't know if we have.
Hegseth was also saying, basically, I'm paraphrasing here, that the international rule of law, we don't care. We're doing what we want to do. And Trump said, if Spain says we can't come and use their bases, well, we might just go and do it anyway. What are they going to do? That's what Trump said. What are they going to do? We might just do it anyway. So
I don't know if we have any viewers or listeners, subscribers in America. But if we do, then, I'm sure if you're listening to this podcast or watching this podcast, you probably share an equal amount of disgust and disdain towards Trump. But I just think America is in such a dangerous place right now because they've elected this person who is just completely making a mockery of the rule of law. And that's all well and good if he's doing it to advantage the general population, but he's not. He's doing it to advantage himself and his cronies and his family, and I'm
And
really, really worried about.
distract from the Epstein files.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, what do you think also about, there are so many hundreds of thousands of Britons, like British citizens, who live in the Middle East, for varying reasons, and a lot of them live there for tax reasons because there's more favorable tax. What do you think of all of these people who are now needing emergency flights to come back to the UK after living in tax exile, and the
I
government is
hadn't heard about this.
Yeah,
So
well
what's the government saying? What's the British
well,
government
the
saying?
government is trying to look into ways of bringing people back, but there are some members of parliament who are standing up saying these people should be billed for this because they haven't been paying the tax that other citizens have been paying. They've moved to tax havens to
Yeah,
try and avoid paying tax, so
yeah.
they shouldn't get emergency
If
flights.
if you're not a UK tax resident, like if you're not contributing tax towards the British government, why would you expect the British government to bail you out? I mean, that's a complete double standard.
And then, of
Like,
course,
I don't wish them harm, but I'm also
no.
like, fucking, you've made your
But then
bed now.
there are also, I think, quite a few thousand people who just happen to have very bad timing to be transferring at some of these airports. So, for
Yeah, well,
instance,
that's different.
there was a
Yeah,
guy who'd been in Australia visiting friends and family, and
yeah.
he stopped in Doha, and just happened to be that window of transfer was when
Mm,
when the invasion started and the war started, and
mm,
of course, like Qatar Airlines, which he was flying with, which stops in Doha, is completely grounded, and it has been
right.
since it started. And I mean, I'm about to was planning on taking that flight in June to come back from Australia, and so there are quite a lot of people, I think, who are just transferring through the
Mm.
Middle East who are also stuck, and they just don't know this could go on for months.
But don't you
And
think, like, if people are there to deliberately evade paying British tax, like,
yeah,
what
I
rights
mean,
do they have to seek some sort of
yeah.
repatriation flight to a country that they are actively avoiding paying tax to? I mean, it's just ludicrous.
Yeah, it is outrageous.
I mean,
So
I'm not gonna be all like Wendy Williams and be like death to them all or anything, but like, like.
But also you're talking about countries and places, societies where there are modern slaves that
Yeah,
allow these people to
yeah,
live there tax-free.
exactly.
Like, there are
Yeah.
people who are all sorts of levels of slavery and indentured servants who have their passports taken and have to work for
Yeah.
years to pay back the debts and can't
Uh-huh.
speak to their families for years. This is how these British people live there for no tax in the lap
Mhm.
of luxury, is because
Yep.
this society is run on modern day slavery.
Yeah.
So it is outrageous that they would expect to be bailed out. So
Yeah.
anyway, moving
Definitely.
on to some other problematic
I
US.
was going to say something more heartwarming, but maybe
Well,
not.
no, some other problematic US news. You wanted to discuss the Saturday
Mm,
Night Live skit about the situation that happened with John Davidson, the
at the
person
BAFTAs.
who lives a Scottish man who lives with Tourette syndrome, who for anyone who doesn't know, and I'm really, once again, I hate to insult anybody's intelligence because I feel like if you're watching this, you would have some grasp of what's going on with some of these topics. But at the BAFTAs, which is the I don't even know what it stands for, British Association of Film and Television Awards, or something like that,
Something
or British
British,
Arts. Well,
British, yeah, yeah,
I don't
something
know what
along
it
those
stands for.
lines.
There is a 2025 film called I Swear, and it was directed, written, and produced by Kirk Jones, and it's based on the life of John Davidson, who we said is an activist and campaigner for people living with Tourette syndrome, and he himself lives with Tourette syndrome. And while he was at the BAFTA Awards, um, and while Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo, two black actors, were on stage presenting another award, his Tourette syndrome compelled him to yell out the N word slur,
Hmm.
and the even though it was being aired on the BBC, and even though the BBC was running this broadcast with a 2-hour delay, they didn't edit it out.
And they were
And
editing other things out,
oh yeah,
you know.
some other person said a free Palestine, and they
Hmm.
edited that out in
Yeah,
their speech.
exactly.
So anyway, J- John Davidson's part of his condition is what is it? Coprolalia? Is that how you pronounce it?
I don't know.
I'm not.
I'm not.
Coprolalia. Coprolalia is the specific twist, I suppose, to his Tourette syndrome, which makes him compelled to say really inappropriate or challenging or problematic
Hmm.
things
Hmm.
based on what he sees around him and based on what his brain is telling him he shouldn't say.
Yeah.
And so this has been a huge thing in the news here in the UK and all around the world.
Mm.
And one of the most problematic things to come out of it, apart from obviously you know, the harm caused to the people who were offended by the slur, but in the aftermath of that was Saturday Night Live, which is a US comedy skit show, did a skit. Do you want to explain the skit to people?
Yeah, it was basically so SNL, Saturday Night Live, they have different members on the team pretend to be different celebrities, and these are all celebrities who have said very problematic things over the past 10, 20 years, like Mel Gibson, Arnie, what's his name,
Hammer,
Army Hammer, is it Army or Arnie
Army
Army
Hammer.
Army Hammer, various other people, and basically basically the joke was they were just saying, oh, I've had Tourette's all this time, that's why I've said those problematic things.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
just found, I mean, this happened 2 weeks ago. This is old news in some ways, but last week when we were recording the episode, I said to you off camera, I said to you, well, I don't know if we really need to talk about, this was before the Saturday Night Live skit happened. I said to you, I
yeah,
don't know if we really need to talk about the incident because I think it's a very complex issue. I think obviously anytime anybody uses the N-word, it's problematic, it's racist, it's not okay.
yeah,
But also, at the same time, you've got somebody who has a registered disability, and the disability compels them to say things which they don't mean. And so, why it was left in the edit, I just do not understand. Like, that to me is the most staggering um, thing about all of this.
yeah.
But it was. But I just found the SNL skit to be so distasteful. I mean, I think SNL is quite shit anyway. I don't think they're clever
Well,
or.
one of the things that struck me about it, because I actually heard it on a podcast, maybe it was like, I don't know, the newsagents or something reported on it, and they
Mm,
played the audio of it.
mm,
The thing that struck me most of all was how seriously unfunny it was. Like,
yeah,
sometimes there can be problematic or edgy or confrontational humor that is funny. This skit, like many things that SNL does, was just devoid of humor. Like, there was no
yeah,
humor. Also, it so missed the mark because not only were they having people pretend to be celebrities who'd said inappropriate things or offensive things or illegal things even, they
mm,
had people pretending to be celebrities who had done things. Like, they had somebody pretend to be Bill Cosby and
yeah,
blame the sexual assault that he'd carried out on Tourette syndrome.
yeah. It was
Like, that was
it was in such poor taste and so offensive.
yeah.
Saying,
And
yeah, the Bill Cosby one saying, I have Tourette's, and so I would sometimes spike women's drinks because
yes,
I can't remember. Like had gender. My Tourette's manifested as some sort of gender not dysphoria, like gender um, misidentifier or something. And so instead of giving those drinks to myself, I would give them to women, and it's just like,
it was just
where on
nonsense.
earth is this going? Like, this is so fucking stupid and
And
so
and and
misguided.
also, that's it, like, confrontational humor is funny when there is a purpose or an angle to it that makes you think and consider, especially when you consider the plight of oppressed people. This did none of that. This was just offensive and unfunny at the same time. Obviously, it's been a very whirlwind situation where obviously like racist campaigners try and use this to shut down Black people voicing their feelings about, the hurt and the frustration they felt in the situation. You've got a lot of sort of bad faith actors coming out of the woodwork trying to monopolize the situation and jump on it and ride it. One quote that I found, I watched a video of Jamie Lawson, who she is an actor who was in Sinners, the movie that where these actors were from, right? Like, and so Jamie Lawson was being interviewed by The Hollywood Reporter, and they asked her take on it. And she said, I'll first say a big shout out to Mike, like Michael B. Jordan, and Delroy. Let's continue to honor them for how they handled that in real time. The grace and dignity that they exercised, and the whole home team, everybody was out there, really carried themselves well. But then what was interesting, what she said, institutionally, we still don't understand what inclusion means. Just because you invite someone into a space, but you don't provide the necessary resources to keep them and everyone else in that room safe by them being there, that's not inclusivity, that's exploitation. And I thought that was a really interesting point.
It
that,
is.
Like inviting that person who is like probably the professional highlight of their life being in that room, but also who in their own way is vulnerable and can make other people vulnerable with their presence through their disorder. There was absolutely bare minimum put in place to keep everybody safe, including the person living with Tourette's.
And I think it is such a complex issue. Like it really, when it happened, you just think, well, first of all, I mean, I want to say like 1,000% that I'm not an apologist for racism, that the people who that slur was directed to, or anybody who heard it, has every right to be offended and appalled and feel victimized by it. Like, I don't want to take that away, nor should anyone want to take that away from them. But two seemingly oppositional things can be true at the same time, and that is that it was not intended that way. And so I know that I would feel the same. Like if somebody called me the FAG word and said, "Oh, but it's Tourette's," I would still feel upset. I would.
The FAGs are hurting.
Oh, what?
The FAGs are hurting. That's a Luscious Massacre quote.
Oh, I don't know that one. No.
The FAGs are hurting.
Oh, hurting.
Yeah.
I thought you said herding, like a flock of sheep.
Oh, maybe that as well.
But also, like it is not intended, and it made me think, because I saw that film. I swear, I saw it at the cinema a few months ago with our friend Kay, and it was a brilliant film. And afterwards, I thought about one scene in it where, and this is a real true story about the guy who the film is about. He met the Queen. He got
John
an OBE,
Davidson.
John Davidson, and he said "fuck off" to the Queen. And there's humor in that, without doubt. There is humor in the fact that somebody said "fuck off" to the Queen. I mean, that's kind of funny, right? And in the film, it was certainly framed to be funny. But then, after this incident, and especially with that quote you just read out from that other actor, I thought,
Jamie Lawson. Yeah,
I thought, well, like that, monopolizing on that incident in that film kind of muddies the water a bit, doesn't it? Because the audience is supposed to find the humor in that, but when he said the N-word to two black men, there's no fucking humor in that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not
at all.
Okay.
Well, anyway, to bring it back on track, Jamie Lawson also said to The Hollywood Reporter, that man's disability got exploited that night, and it led to multiple offenses. but she said that's the BAFTA's fault, and then it was the BBC's fault to air it, what
Yeah.
they aired. It was careless. It was not like some haphazard accident, and it showed a real lack of care was exercised for those two black men, and she's also referring to John Davidson. And what she also said was that she knows that the BBC took care to police other content that they cut out that night. So what does it say about failing to protect these other black people, black performers? You know,
Yeah, I
she
mean,
said it
if
does.
there was a
She said it does. It shows they don't care for their dignity and their humanity,
yeah,
and they don't want to protect them.
if there was a 30-second delay on the broadcast, you could kind of think, well, you know, they had 30 seconds to make a very important call, blah blah blah. But it was not. It was what,
Yeah,
2 hours,
yeah,
and
2 hour delay.
there is no way that should have made the final
Yeah.
edit. I mean, absolutely no way. I
Uh,
don't know what they were thinking.
well, it's completely outrageous, and the BBC is. I mean, it is an incredible institution, and it has done a lot of and continues to do a lot of important things, but it
Mm,
is part of a system that is built off the exploitation of minorities, and it's all part and parcel of that. You know, it's based on the class system that is has so many ties to empire, and the whole thing is problematic.
mm,
Um, Talking of exploitation, just before we finish up this week, can we quickly talk about BrewDog and the latest drama with BrewDog?
we can.
Well, if you don't know, BrewDog was a brewing company and a bar, and they had bars as well as a brewery that was founded in 2007 by James Watt and what's that man's name? Martin Dickey. And they founded it in 2007, and it became hugely, hugely popular.
It was
So they
founded in
ended up,
Scotland, wasn't it?
yeah. So they had, at their height, they had 4 breweries, they had distribution centers, and they had hundreds of bars around the world, or partner bars as well. They weren't all owned by them. And it was said to be worth more than $1 billion at its height.
Hmm.
Fast forward through all of these different dramas and controversies they had, which we can touch on, come to 2026. Look at me looking at the date to see what year we're in, 2026. And
Hmm.
they have been in receivership for a little while. And yesterday, the company was sold in sort of like a fire sale, like a everything must go sale. They were bought by a US firm for $33 million. And
Okay.
now that includes, this is a company that was once valued at $1 billion. It was sold for
Mm,
33 million. That includes the breweries, the distribution center, and 7 bars. In the
hmm.
UK, I think it was 38, or the rest of the 38 pubs of theirs were completely shut down.
Hmm.
And I've got some news here that the staff at these pubs found out through a 15-minute conference call with the chief executive, and they were given 25 minutes notice, and they weren't allowed to ask any questions about what was happening to their jobs. They were just given 25 minutes notice. The call happened, and then that was it. They were all out of a job and told to leave, and the bars never opened again.
Wow.
And these are people who were on full-time contracts.
Mm.
What do you know about BrewDog?
Well, I mean, they gained popularity relatively quickly. I would say
Yeah.
going back about just over a decade, maybe, when they started to spring up everywhere. And they were, for a while, a sort of they were known among the vegan community as being an incredibly vegan-friendly venue. I don't think they were ever completely vegan, but they always
No.
had really good vegan menu items, and they would support small vegan businesses and buy products in from them. So there was um, this weird sort of dichotomy between that and then some of their marketing ploys and
Oh, yeah.
some of their advertising strategies, which were incredibly problematic. And so for a long time now, I've been very, very skeptical about them as a company. Do you want to sort of say what some of those things were? I mean, you probably remember them more than
Yeah.
I do, but
Well, I stopped buying their products quite a few years ago, as a sort of, I suppose, a form of capitalist protest to not support them. They had advertising campaigns that I found to be sexist, transphobic, homophobic. There were many, like quite a few scandals around the founders and their treatment of staff,
mm,
and claims and accusations of misogyny, and and then also from a vegan angle. I mean, it might sound a bit more trivial to people, but they did advertising campaigns where they used the bodies of animals that they said died in roadkill, and they gave away these stuffed animals that had beer bottles inside their bodies as prizes. They also had an equity program where people could support the growth of the business by buying shares, what they called equity shares, or they called them the equity punks. It's another thing they did. They tried to make themselves seem like outsiders, and they used the punk terminology to
mm,
sell that image to people.
mm-hmm.
And they raised, I think, about £75 million over a few years through selling these equity shares. I think on average, people spend about £300 to £400. Some people a lot more. I was reading a quote from a man today who had put £12,000 of his own money into this.
And
Now with
presumably
this,
they've got nothing, right?
well, with the collapse of the company and the recent fire sale, the deal that they did was any money that was salvageable from that 33 million has gone to one of the corporate investors who had invested in it. The equity punks, so however many hundreds or thousands of those people, get nothing. So they have been told it's not. This isn't just something they're expecting. They have been told they're not getting any of their money back,
Wow.
and so it's a really sad end to a very problematic company. And there's been a lot of people who've lost a little bit of money. There's been a few people who've lost a lot of money. And the understanding is that the two founders, who've sort of both exited the business in recent years to very different degrees, were able to go to exit the company with quite a few tens of millions of pounds each. Before it was liquidated. So
Mm.
there's a lot of anger from the people who have supported the brand over the years. And there's also a little bit of we told you so, or sort of feelings of comeuppance from, other people who have found them to be a really problematic brand anyway.
And I think, yeah, I think the main concern would be just for the staff, really. The staff
Yes.
who, many of whom would probably have been on zero hour contracts, and so suddenly find themselves completely out of work. Um,
Well,
it's
just to clarify that, I don't know if BrewDog had zero-hour contracts. That's not something I'm aware
no,
of.
I mean,
Um,
yeah, we don't know for sure,
you know
but
what I mean? Like,
I mean, a
I'm
bar,
not
I
sure.
would imagine any bar probably would, but yeah, who can
Maybe,
say for
maybe, but
sure?
they had some weird sort of it was mostly seen as performative things that they would do for their teams. Like often on the front of the bars, it would have, this is a 50-50 bar where 50% of the profits are given back to the team members.
Okay.
But there was a lot of complaints about that as well. But I think they did do a lot of performative things, like
Hmm.
try to show that they had good labor practices when in fact there are a lot of complaints from the staff. But yeah, I just wanted to clarify. I don't know if they had zero-hour contracts or not.
No, no, we don't
Um,
know. We don't know. We
so,
don't know. We don't know
so
much on this podcast, in case that wasn't
no, we
evidently
don't. What
clear.
I do know is that it was sold for 33 million. I don't know if it was pounds or dollars. Maybe it was pounds, to a company called Tilray Brands, which you'll love this. The tagline of this company, Tilray Brands, is global cannabis and wellness leader. So they're like a massive cannabis brand in the US, and they've come in and bought this. And apparently, they own um, a number of smaller breweries around the US that they've gotten into recently, with taking over and buying them when they're in financial trouble. But they've
Are
made
they
their money, or their big
are
name
they
is
going to be are they
cannabis.
going to be the major sponsors for London Vegan Beer Fest 2026?
Well, I could do with some global cannabis money
Should we?
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
we won't say anything bad about them until we've ruled them out as potential sponsors, right?
No, and a weird thing was this. Whoever the CEO currently was throughout this.
Currently, that's not a contradiction in terms. Currently was.
No, well. Currently, through the whole liquidation or whatever they call it, the chief executive is James Taylor,
Okay.
not to be confused with the folk singer. But in a quote I saw on the BBC today, he said, even though these equity punks are not getting any of their money back, we hope they'll stay with us as we continue, and they continue to be brand ambassadors for us who believe in us. I'm like, mate, this is the most ridiculous. This is up there with Trump level of delusion.
Yeah. It's hard to have a lot of sympathy for capitalist investors, isn't it? Like, it's not that I am glad they've lost out, but it is very hard to have sympathy sometimes for situations like that when there are people who are facing real fucking struggle and misfortune. But anyway, maybe I should stop. Maybe I should stop there before I say something I live to regret.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm off to. It's Wednesday. We're recording early this week, so
yeah. Why is that?
I'm off in a few days to go to Sheffield to see Lily Allen in concert. So we couldn't record on the weekend like we normally do. What have you got planned for the rest of the week?
Well, I've actually got the weekend off, which is nice. So there's a new market happening in South Ealing, near where I live, on Saturday. So I'm going to go check that out. And I can't remember. I think I've got some other things. I mean, I have to my hair. I'm relatively happy with my hair, but there's still a bit of yellow. It's still a little bit brassy. So I do need to find the time over the weekend to maybe just give it a good proper tone, another toner. So big plans for me. But yeah, Sheffield for Lily Allen sounds amazing.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
Where's she play? What's the venue?
It's the city hall or the town hall, like it's in the city centre. But the last time I had tickets for someone there was Belinda Carlisle, but then I couldn't go because it was like COVID or something. But have you seen some of the fans are complaining? Because even though she advertised it as being just the new album in its entirety, some people are acting shocked that it now is just the
that's
the
all
album
I'm expecting. That's all I'm expecting.
I know. The album only goes for 45 minutes, and I'm like, that's the perfect concert length for me. I don't want to be there.
Definitely. And I'm seeing her in London a week later? No, 2 weeks later, I think.
At the Palladium,
towards the end of the month at the London Palladium, yeah. So yeah, I'm fully on board with the fact that it's just the West End Girl album. That's it. And yeah, like a quick concert is a good concert.
Okay, so next week I'll have an update from everyone about not only the Lily Allen concert, but Sheffield in general, and my National Express bus journey there and back.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to think. What's the vegan situation in Sheffield these days?
I don't know anymore.
There's no Make Their Bones anymore.
No, a lot of it has shut down.
Well, you'll have to report back.
I'll report back.
No BrewDog.
Well, thankfully.
All right. Well, we look forward to finding out what happened in Sheffield. But if you want to follow Sean on Instagram at FatGayVegan for updates in the meantime, please feel free to do so. Likewise, if you want to find out what I'm up to, I'm Josh and the Jumpstarts on Instagram. You can also find my music on Spotify, on Deezer, on Apple Music, and all the other streaming platforms, Josh and Jumpstarts. So please do check that out. I think that's everything we have for this week.
Yep.
So assuming that we are all still here next week and that the Iran conflict hasn't escalated and blown us all out of existence, we will be back in your feeds next week. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other. Any final thoughts?
Okay.
No,
that's all right. That's me. Everything from me.
Okay, folks, take care. We'll see you in your feeds next week.
Bye.